Grab a stack of rock, Mike and the Meadow Man. Grab a stack of rock, hold on tight as hard as you can. Grab a stack of rock, Mike and the Meadow Man. Grab a stack of rock, hold on tight as hard as you can.
Hey, Johnny Metal.
Yo, yo, yo.
That tickles me every time I see it.
I'm glad you like that.
I can't tell you how many times I've watched it, man.
Oh my gosh. I wish my voice sounded better for it though. Every time I looked at I watched it, I'm like, oh God.
Sounded good to me, my friend.
Oh, geez.
Johnny Metal from My Music Corner. How are you doing this afternoon on this Friday afternoon?
Man, I don't know what to do with myself. This is kind of a unusual thing. I've been having to take a little bit of a little mental rest from work for many different reasons, which I don't want to go into. But so I'm glad you said, hey, let's just do something completely off the cuff and go from there and see what happens. And there's Jackson Henry. So
Jackson Henry in the house. And you know, one other reason why I wanted to do this is because, you know, obviously we had my birthday party last week where I opened some gifts, but I've got some more cool stuff here to show you from after the party. Ooh. And I figured I could either do a video where I'm showing this stuff off, or we could just do it live. So I thought live would be fun.
Absolutely. And there's Peter Jones is here too.
Jones.
The professor.
I hope the professor approves of some of these musical gifts. But first I wanted to ask you a question, sir. What do you want to do with your life?
Yeah. Boy.
Speaking of that,
there's Jake now from State Farm.
Jake, nice to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, brother. Man, I'll tell you what. I would like to just sit back and rock, but man, at 54 years old, I don't know how well I can really do that without feeling like I'm going to put myself in a nursing home too quickly. But
well, what I was referring to here, of course, is that you are in the midst of a Twisted Sister deep dive with John the Music Nut.
Yep.
And you just finished You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, which means this week is Stay Hungry.
Yes, we just put Stay Hungry out. And
sorry, this week is Stay Hungry. Yeah, I'm behind still.
Yeah. Just Stay Hungry just came out. And then let's see, I don't have it handy for me to
Twisted Sister fans know what came after Stay Hungry.
And I just don't have my physical copy of it handy because I pulled a bunch of stuff out in case it comes up and I show off some other things. So right now it's kind of buried but Come Out and Play will be the one we'll record next weekend. Oh, then somebody's waving the Canadian flag. So
there we go. I was going to say, do you have the vinyl with the manhole cover?
I do.
Okay. So I want to tell you a quick story. Up here at the cottage, there used to be a record store in a town called Port Elgin, and they say there it is. They say that this store was actually more like just a front for like moving illicit drugs. But I found a copy of Come Out and Play on vinyl there for like $5, and it was all scratched to pieces. But really, the point of it is getting that
cover, right?
The manhole cover, which has never been duplicated on any other format. So that's cool. Check that out on My Music Corner next week on Wednesday evening. Second question for you. There's questions for John today. Is this your first time at the cottage?
No, I think I've been here. I was there. I can't remember what the show was, but I feel like I have. I think this is the first solo time, but I feel like I have been up at the cottage for something else. It's just escaping my memory at the moment.
Well, just so you know, here's my view. It's quite nice. It's quite nice.
I love that.
I don't know if I can zoom in. No, I can't. But Jen and I just went for a swim an hour ago, and really happy to have you here because this is my happy place, and I like to share it with my friends.
Amen.
Now,
just before you go, so I have been to your native Canada once. Now, where I was
actually, you know what? I'm going to pause you because I had a question for you that I was going to run, and you're actually answering the question.
Oh,
Now, as you know, we used to start the show with a little thing called Ask Harrison. Harrison has been sick, so I thought today we would take one of his questions for him and run it for you.
Oh,
You were just about to answer this question, but let's run this question. This actually came from Jex Russell. Just sub in the name John Clauser where he says Harrison, because I want to know this question from you and you were just about to answer it.
okay.
So here is today's Ask John Clauser question from Jex Russell.
Hello, everyone. Harrison, got a question for you. A very important question. When are you coming to Canada, man? When are you coming to Canada? Come on, we're waiting for you. You should make a trip. And you know what? All expenses will be paid by Mike. How can you refuse? It's going to be awesome. We'll have some poutine. We'll put maple syrup on everything. You know, those aren't just stereotypes. Those are the truth. Well, in my case. All right. Come on down. Looking forward to seeing you. Take care.
And I had poutine 2 days ago, so he's not wrong.
Okay.
Okay.
So to answer the question, so I have actually been to Canada once.
Okay.
I was in about, I think it was 6th grade going into 7th grade.
Okay.
My brother knew some folks who, some guys from our church, and they did an annual fishing trip to this one area up there. And the only thing I really remember of the trip is I remember passing like the Thousand Islands.
Okay.
So probably towards, I think it's Kingston would be the closest big town.
Yep.
I remember going to visit Fort Henry.
Okay. I'm not sure where that is.
I remember they did like they did like a lot of reenactment type of stuff. So I do remember going to there. The campground we stayed at, it was a lake. It was they called it Stump Lake, which it was a great name because there was all these stumps in the lake, and it was apparently made for good fishing. So yeah, that's really about all I remember of the trip. It was in summertime, so it wasn't terribly hot, but it got surprisingly cold at night. So I was a little surprised at how cool it got for August. Yeah, I wish I could remember more about that trip, but
well, I can tell you that according to Wikipedia, Stump Lake is in British Columbia, which would be on the west coast of Canada, where
we were definitely not in there, but
I think there must be two Stump Lakes.
Well, I think my brothers said that they've changed the name since then. So.
Okay. Bunch of guys heading up to Canada for fishing trip sounds like the perfect start to a horror movie. Murder at Stump Lake. Oh man.
The only other geographical thing I can tell you is that a couple of the guys splintered off and they went off to another Graham Lake.
Graham Lake. Okay. Let's Google that. We'll get us in the region of where we're supposed to be. Graham Lake, Ontario. Eastern Ontario sounds about right if you were going through Kingston. Yeah, way out there in the boonies, but I have an idea of where you were headed now. Yeah.
Okay. So
I haven't been out to that side. I mean, Ontario is a very big province, and I have only really, most people are kind of like in the south and off to the east. I've never really explored, but that's cool. So you have had, and I guess back then though, poutine wasn't really as widespread as it is now.
If I don't recall going out to a lot of diners or restaurants while we were there. We had food that we made at the campground or the fish we caught or whatever. But yeah, so I would not have had any of that. So
well, I can tell you that you know, if you do return to our country, you must have some poutine, which for those who don't know is French fries and gravy with cheese curds. They have to be curds. You see a lot of fast food places doing like shredded cheddar. No. That's not poutine. And it's pronounced poutine. I should be saying it correctly. Poutine. And I remember my sister, the first time she had poutine sometime in the 90s, she told me, you know, I had this thing called poutine. And I'm like, poutine? Ew, that sounds disgusting. And it was freaking great. It was a revelation. People dip their French fries in gravy all the time. You add cheese to that and
yeah,
we're golden.
It's a heart attack waiting to happen.
That's right. Well,
and I wouldn't have it any other way.
I know this is a grab a stack of rocks, so people want to see physical things. And I do have some physical things to show, including some birthday gifts. So I thought I'd show one first here.
Okay.
I don't have it physically with me because my mother is going to actually get it mounted.
Ooh.
And now I have to find the actual image. Preparation, Mike. Preparation. Starfleet Command. There's the file. Okay, so last winter, my mother and my sister went to a science fiction convention here in Kitchener, and I actually played a video of that back at the time. And what I didn't know was that my sister bought this for me, or actually my mother bought this for me. I think, yeah, I'm keeping all this straight. My mother bought this for me from the prop master of the show Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is filmed in Toronto. I'm just going to get rid of the annoying moving background. But anyway, there's this prop. You can clearly see it in the show. You can Google the image and you can see this prop. But this is a second. He made 2 for the show, and this is the second one that was not used in the show. So this is basically identical to the one in the show, made by the same guy. It's just one of 2 that he made. And I thought it was really, really cool that that my mom bought this for me.
Wow.
On the show,
that is pretty cool.
Like,
yeah.
Backlit. Yeah, it is. On the show, it's kind of backlit in blue. So I'm kind of hoping we could do something similar to that. So that was cool. Now, I don't know. We never really talked too much about science fiction and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with that show, Strange New Worlds.
Not really. I'm not about as far as I go with sci-fi would be like the Star Wars movies. Like,
okay.
I'm not much of I'm not a Star Trek-y kind of guy, and things like that. But or maybe Alien.
Okay.
But other than that, no, I'm not much. I'm not much of a science fiction guy.
Jake from Jake from Not State Farm is 100% correct. It's the current one airing with Rebecca Romaine. They're going to be going into their 3rd season. But you mentioned Star Wars. Are you familiar with the Disney Plus series called Andor?
We actually did start Disney Plus a few months ago. So I stuck to the main movies. I think I watched a little bit of that. What was the Baby Yoda thing? Mandalorian. We watched a little bit of that, but then after that, I never went too far down the Star Wars rabbit hole. I'm pretty much a purist from New Hope and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. That was my main part of it.
Okay, then I'll give you a little background here. In around 2017, they did the first Star Wars kind of spin-off movie. It's called Rogue One. And it was based on the concept of stealing the planets of the Death Star and that whole setup. And there was
a good movie. I have seen that.
It is a good movie. It's decent. It's not epic, great, but it's good. But it introduced us to the character of Cassian Andor, who now has his own series on Disney Plus, which is actually the best rated of the Star Wars series. It's very gritty, very down to earth, very real, filmed on location. But on that show, Andor uses a lamp very similar to this one.
Okay.
The one on the show is kind of painted and weathered. There's these are colored in blue, these lines. But this is really cool how this works. You just lift and it lights up. It is really, really cool. It takes 3 AA batteries, and it has the symbol of the rebellion on the top of it, which was not on the show. Right. But this is just kind of a neat little, you wouldn't call it a replica necessarily, but this is a neat little souvenir from that show. And it's a really good lamp is actually why I really like it. So yeah, I'm very happy with those gifts from my mom. Very cool. Sci-fi. I mean, I'm a sci-fi nerd. I've got more sci-fi stuff here for later. And I can't wait to see how she mounts that Strange New Worlds plaque.
Right.
Cool. Anyway, that was my round of stuff I wanted to show on today's show. Right.
Well, so here's something that I just got in today. So I can actually do a quick unboxing.
Oh, yes.
A little Discogs unboxing thing here. So let's see. I'm trying to remember what it was I picked up from good old Discogs here. I think there's a few good ones here. Let's see.
Jake, I just want to say, yes, you and I could talk sci-fi. I loved Andor. I've watched it 3 times, and I just finished The Acolyte. So yes, we should talk.
Let's see. So what did let's see. What did old Discogs get me? We got
Now,
the
oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's the Rock Candy reissue, eh?
yes.
Bonus tracks.
A bunch of them. Looks like about 6 of them.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I need that then.
Yes. Yeah. So there you go.
I have
I
a
think-
90s reissue on, I think CMC might have been the label. So
Okay.
I want that one.
Okay. I've been hearing so many people talking about this, so I thought, I think I better just do this. So, yeah.
Zebra. Now, I'm not familiar with them at all.
So
And more Rock Candy.
yeah, all of these actually wound up being Rock Candy reissues. I didn't quite realize it at the time, but so yeah. So I thought I've been wanting to go down the zebra territory for a little while, and I've been pretty bad about it. Need to do it, but then I thought, in light of something that is upcoming in the My Music Corner world, and because I feel like I need to do something with that Ernesto suggested to me.
Oh, Staying Alive, double live.
Yes, so this is the 2 CD version. So we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna incorporate that into the series, because we were mainly gonna just stick with the studio albums. So yes, we will be doing. Yes, thank you, Peter. Yes, I'm looking forward to getting into that, Jax, as well.
Tell me a little bit about Zebra, because I basically know nothing.
So Zebra, I mean, let's see. Basically, like Peter, you can back me up on this. Kind of like just great musicians, great songs, great songwriting. Let's see. I'll just read the thing that's on the back of this. Apart from the Beatles, there is no doubt that rock's music's second greatest influence was the power and glory created by Led Zeppelin. From the very moment their epic-changing debut was really because of this, you cannot talk about the work of Zebra without mentioning the Beatles, or more pointedly, Led Zeppelin. Fortunately, unlike some other less astute acts, Zebra's homage to the world's most influential bands are not. Wow. Anyway. I've heard a lot of good things over the years. Lots of good stuff. Yes, Peter's wanted me to do Stay Alive. I've heard a lot of good things about Zebra. They only have like a couple of albums, though. They just another one of those bands that just never quite broke big. So
I heard the word Led Zeppelin come up a few times, and Tim says very high vocals. So I guess I'm looking for like a Robert Plant kind of sound. Is that
probably so?
Okay,
probably so. Yeah,
and you know, with stuff on Rock Candy, there's always going to be value because those things are collectible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if any of these have bonus tracks.
You're going to get, no matter what with a Rock Candy, you're going to get great liner notes and photos inside.
Yeah. So I'm definitely looking forward into that. So there you go. That was my little unboxing.
Cool.
So other than some other odds and ends of weird things I'll pull out later, but
okay. Well, then I may as well show up the 3 discs that I received recently and have here with me. Now, spoiler alert, Mr. Tim Derling's in the house, and we may or may not be doing a taping this weekend, but that's just between him and I. But I just so happen to have this with me.
Yes.
New Mr. Big album called 10, and I like it. Spoiler alert, I'll be talking about this in a little bit more detail on another show, but I like it. It's different. I'm getting a lot more acoustic guitar on this, and not ballady. Like, I don't mean in a To Be With You way, more in a Zeppelin-y way. Now, here's something interesting that Tim alerted me to. Billy Sheehan didn't write any songs on this. I didn't know that.
I didn't catch that. I caught that too. I didn't look at the liner notes, but yeah, I caught that.
And I didn't think there was as much in your face bass, which is fine though. I mean, Paul Gilbert more than makes up for anything that may be missing in the bass department. Paul Gilbert's brilliant on this. He plays a lot of slide guitar and other stuff. But this is a good album. And I will, spoiler alert, recommend this to you. I'm going to do a show with another gentleman that may be watching. And I'm going to do a written review of this as well.
And you have a different bonus track than I do.
Oh, this one has 8 Days on the Road. What do you have?
Mine, I don't have my copy handy, so I'm going to have to look it up. But mine was called... Mine was called See No Akapi, which was, I believe, is an instrumental.
Okay, well, I'd heard that the Japanese bonus track was an instrumental, so I'm betting
that's what I got. That's what I got.
Maybe if I order an American copy from Amazon.com, maybe I will get the bonus track. So I think you might have just saved me from looking for a Japanese.
Probably.
And this is a joke here, common knowledge. I will just explain this joke because you probably don't know this, but this is Jex, by the way. Cinnabro Supreme is Jex. He is also frequently a co-host on another show called The Distortion Den, hosted by a guy named Deke Williamson. Deke Williamson did an interview with Billy Sheehan about a decade ago where he sent Billy some questions and Billy responded really rudely. Like, I don't know why he even responded. Like, he didn't have to. He could have just ignored the email and not answered these questions. One of the questions was, Deke said something about, not a lot of people know this, but you were briefly in Max Webster with Kim Mitchell. And Billy Sheehan came back and he said, well, that's common knowledge. And Deke's like, no, it freaking isn't. It's not common knowledge that you were in Max Webster for a little while. So that is why Jex is saying common knowledge here. We nicknamed Billy Sheehan Common Knowledge because he just go to the Distortion Den, do a search for Billy Sheehan, and you will be shocked at how rude Billy was to my friend Deke.
Wow.
And Tim knows this story very well. Mine's okay. So Tim and I have the same bonus track. I'm thinking they're talking a Halford fight.
I think so. Yeah, I think he and Jake. He was asking Jake about fights. So yes.
Now this is another inside joke that I'll explain to you. Aaron Stewart, my buddy that I go to Toronto with. Mm-hmm. You probably saw Mike and Aaron go to Toronto. First time we went to Toronto together, I was looking for a Japanese import of Kiss Monster, which had a bonus track. I went to Sam the Record Man. I didn't because they're closed. I went to HMV, which used to have 1,000 Japanese imports and now have none. Then I went to Sunrise Records, who used to have 1,000 Japanese imports and now have none. Aaron always encourages me to ask the person behind the counter for help if I can't find something. So I did, even though I didn't really want to. And I said, do you have the Japanese import of Kiss Monster? And she answers me, Japanese imports are very, very expensive. And I'm like, I know, I collect them.
No crap.
Because I have bonus tracks, but I want Kiss Monster. You don't have it? And she goes, Japanese imports are very expensive. And I'm like,
maybe that's the only English she knew.
Jake from State Farm, he's going down this. Ooh. Yeah, Fight. I think that first Fight album, Into the Pit.
Yeah,
that is my favorite.
I think I need to pick that up again. It's been a while since I've listened to that, but yeah.
Pete Jones is on board. Yep. Yeah, I'd like to talk about that album someday. Then First Fight, Billy Sheehan. No, that's Billy Corgan.
Oh boy.
Oh, you didn't know that story? Okay. Yeah, wow. I did eventually get the Japanese Kiss Monster, and I think the bonus track was a live version of King of the Nighttime World from 2004, Rock the Nation tour. If I remember correctly. Anyway. Right. So next up, this wasn't a gift, but this was delivered to the cottage recently. It was supposed to arrive during the Tim Derling interview, which it was supposed to be, hey, look, here's my copy of Left Overture. It just arrived.
Way to go, Amazon.
This is the only Kansas that I actually already owned because I had it on 8-track, which I can't play. But I like the cover art. It's got Point of No Return on it. I don't really know, I'm in the Kansas book, but I don't really know a lot about this early Kansas stuff. I was more listening to the Morse era. So I wanted to do this for that interview with Tim. Tim, here it is. Sorry. Blame Amazon. And finally, my dad's shocked that I listen to classical music. I don't know why he's shocked that I listen to classical music because he raised me on that. And my first albums were John Williams.
Okay.
So my sister perused my Amazon wish list, and she always tends to buy me something that's not rock if it's on my wish list. She bought me Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture.
Very cool.
Eric Kunzel conducting, and my dad was absolutely shocked that I wanted this. I think that this seems to be the cover that I see the most frequently when I look for this album. So I think, based on me seeing this one the most frequently, I'm assuming that this is a pretty important recording of the 1812 Overture. One thing I wanted to draw your attention to, though, is this.
Digital cannons.
I don't know what that's all about, but it says see page 6.
I hope it's nothing like Jex's thing.
For those who don't know what that is, tune in to last week's show. That's my music that I got for my birthday this year.
Yeah, very cool.
I do like a little bit of classical because why not? I do
too. I
must have said the wrong name here. I must have said left overture instead of point of no return.
Oopsie. But classical music. No, it's a deep rabbit hole to go into. But boy, I could sit and just listen to like Vivaldi's Four Seasons or any of the Beethoven symphonies or Bach's or Mozart's or Grieg's. All those kind of things. But I do enjoy a lot of good classical music. So
well, that's cool. I mean, I think there's a very fine line between classical music and heavy metal, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean,
just 1812 Overture is an example, really.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, or even some of Wagner's stuff it's got that heavier brass, in his orchestra. Yeah. So he really brings the heavy metal pretty much. But then if you just really want to discover the beauty of classical music and heavy metal, just look up The Great Kat.
True. That's an obscure artist, but The Great Kat, yeah, she played a lot of really fast classical stuff on electric guitar. Still does. She still puts videos out all quite often. So there you go. Got to give The Great Kat a little plug once in a while. So yeah. And Aaron's got a good point here. I don't like listening to classical in the car for that reason. Great on the headphones, though.
Yes, absolutely. And maybe sometimes it just depends if you get a good enough recording. Sometimes you get some really crappy recordings of it, and then sometimes you get some good. Yeah. There you go, Jax. Exactly. Sometimes you get some good digital recordings. Some really good stuff. But and Tim's spot on.
Yeah. For me, a lot of it is movie soundtracks. 2001: A Space Odyssey was a big deal when I was a kid, and has some great waltzes. Again, I mentioned Star Wars and John Williams and that stuff, and there's a very, very fine line between Holst, the planets, and Star Wars. You can hear things that John Williams lifted directly from the planets, particularly Mars, Bringer of War.
Right.
What is Aaron here saying?
Oh, I think
missed most of the loot.
Missed most of the loot.
Okay. Well, I'll just quickly recap. I was just showing off the new Mr. Big, which tune into Tim's Vinyl Confession soon for more on that. And of course,
Point of No Return.
Kansas with the sailboat, which may look familiar to those who bought Tim Derling's book. We also had this lamp from the TV series Andor, and I won't bother getting that picture of the Starfleet Command plaque on the screen, but there was a cool Star Trek plaque. Pete Jones, no is more, it says. Okay, so I will consult Pete Jones next time I decide to buy something classical.
There you go.
Common knowledge, Aaron. Okay, so you're up, Johnny Metal. What do you want to show us from?
So this is going to be some more personal stuff. So it's today's the 26th. So
yeah,
the 21st actually has a rather auspicious anniversary of sorts for myself.
Okay.
So, and there's Grant. So, back in 2009, I got to travel up to see my parents, but then I also had another trip because we used to live in the eastern shore of Maryland, which is about a 4-hour drive from where my parents live.
Okay.
And I've been wanting to go back to visit some folks there. So now, one of the things I got to do while I was there was I got up with a good friend of mine, and I'm going to take it out of the CD case because it's a little tough to see, but I got to go into a little bit of a recording studio, and I got to lay a few just a little guitar track for a song for a very good friend of mine here named Joy Miller. This is a picture of Joy right there. So that is her. So I got to go into a studio with my brother's Epiphone Les Paul that he had, because the song she wanted me to play on was supposed to be kind of like a maybe like a boogie kind of song. But then I'm like, can you send me like a recording or something? Or I never get to hear the song until like the night before. So I have like no idea what the song sounds like. So we get into the studio, and that's when I finally get to hear the song. I'm like, ooh, well, this ain't really a boogie song. I don't know how good this Les Paul is going to work out, but let's go for it anyway. So I tried to do a guitar solo for it. It's like the Brad Gillis story from the Hearing Aid Sessions. Brad Gillis is like in there for eternity trying to get a sound right, and like Neil Sean or somebody gets in there, he gets like 5 or 10 minutes, he's done, he's out. But Brad Gillis is like 2 hours, he's still trying to work out what he's trying to get. Well, that's kind of like how it was for me. I just couldn't quite find something. She eventually didn't use the solo I used, but she used this clunky riff that I put in there. So learning experience for me in that. But so she puts out this CD about a year. It comes out about a year later. And but the auspicious occasion for what was come the later in the day was this little thing.
Okay.
I actually got to play at a little coffee house in the town of Salisbury where I live, and there's my friend Joy up at the corner there. She kind of sat in with me just to kind of either be a good foil to me, or sometimes we did play stuff together. So I had a good friend of mine here, this guy Larry.
Okay.
The middle guy's name is Jim, but Larry did a lot of photography and videography. He recorded the entire thing. Now, I've tried to upload it to YouTube. Of course, I do a lot of covers, so big copyright kind of puts the kibosh on ever trying to do that. But anyway, so yeah, 15 years ago, my only solo gig at a coffee house. Now, what else is auspicious about that occasion? I don't know if no, he doesn't. Okay, so my friend Larry took a picture of my dad and I.
Okay.
And little would I know that would eventually be the last picture that was taken of my dad and I.
Oh.
And because I would only go back up to visit, because we weren't like big. I didn't have an iPhone, I didn't have it. So I wasn't taking pictures with my phone all the time. I wasn't that kind of a guy back then.
Right.
So yeah, so that why, and I would only go up to visit like one more time before his battle with lung cancer took his life.
Yeah.
And the last few weeks of his life, there was no way I was going to get a picture of him laying in his bed with of course. I'm not gonna do that. That would have been in poor taste. But anyway, so that ultimately was the last picture that was taken of my dad and I. So and unfortunately, Larry has also since passed away. He passed away about a year or so ago. He had a lot of different health issues. So unfortunately, he has since passed away. So that was also the last time I would see him in person. So it's kind of it's a little bittersweet in some ways. Unfortunately, I go back to watch this thing now, and it's cringeworthy. Oh, it's bad. I have a hard time watching it now, but
Well, then be glad you don't have it uploaded to YouTube, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe for certain people, I'll share that with. But since I'm on the personal kick here, I'll just keep going with some other stuff. So I don't know if I've ever shown this to you on a show before, but this is a little cassette single that I made back in the day. So this has 2 songs that I wrote and recorded. You can't really, the glare is terrible here, but there's 2 songs of mine one's called Scars Too Deep to Heal, and the other's called Sadist. Sadist is a very nasty, very Wasp influenced song. Nobody ever needs to hear it. But whenever I decide to make CD copies, one day you will get a hold of this little thing.
Right. Yes.
So one day you'll get to hear the whole thing. But something else I came across that I thought, I'm going to just show these off. So these little cassettes, these are like really old cassettes. You can see where I wrote
the label off.
And I wrote Sadist on. Well, this was like I don't know. This was me screwing around on guitar, and I just happened to hit a thing, and I recorded it. You see this other one here has Mean Machine written on it. That was something else I wrote lyrics to, and I had an idea for music. I couldn't tell you how it goes anymore. And then I found this other cassette, and it says here, early recording of John and Dave. Dave, of course, being the guy when I talk about the night that I first heard the first Wasp album, he was the one who got You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. And of course, the rest is history. Well, Dave played guitar too. And yeah, it's certainly nothing good, but these had some stuff I had written, like, I think one was called And Then There Was None, which was like this creepy intro style thing, like along the lines of God Bless the Children of the Beast or In the Beginning or something like that. And then it goes into this song called D-Day, which was a nuclear war song, but it's just this 3-chord crap song. It was awful. And then there was like this other thing called, I wrote in there, we did another thing called The Gates of Hell, which it was me trying to be Slayer. And it was, definitely not going to be digitalized. Never.
I'm trying to think, but did Sabbath do an intro called The Gates of Hell on the Tear album? I'm trying to think. It sounds familiar to me.
Maybe.
But then again, my brain's been fritzed all day.
Tear would have been a long time before I had written this, because I did this in like 85, 86.
Tear was 1990.
Yeah, so that was way before then. But it's
but the Wasp influences in those titles is very
very
clear.
Very, very, very evident. Very, very evident. But Jax, then you will love this. So I'm also into a Christian parody band. Now, so
that's a genre I've never heard before.
think Weird Al, but in a Christian perspective. So they rework everything. Well, not everything. They've never done Slayer, but they've reworked like Enter Sandman. They've reworked, Can't Get Enough of Your Love. They even did April Wine's She's a Roller. And so there's all kinds. Not much was safe to them. I did a Christian parody version of Slayer's Rain and Blood. Just the lyrics, obviously. I've never made a recording of it, but I just did the lyrics. But I have it somewhere. I don't know. I don't have it handy, but yes, I actually did a Christian parody lyrical thing of Slayer's Rain and Blood. Not sure if I should be proud of that, and I'm sure
I think there are certain things that have never been repeated anywhere in the known universe, and I think that is one of them. Christian parody of Rain and Blood, Ducky Recover from Incoming Lightning. Pete, I'm just going to pontificate for a moment. I don't like to talk about religion. To me, faith is a very personal thing, but I will say this. My favorite Christian is a Christian with a sense of humor. So there you go. And, to paraphrase Kevin Smith, you got to look at God and laugh sometimes, because the platypus, what the fuck was he thinking when he made that?
And I'm sure there's and the blowfish and a few other kind of weird fish animals. Yeah.
Those monkeys with the red butts that are really, really off, they stare at you from a mile away. Obviously God has a sense of humor, in my opinion, so Christians should too.
Well,
but that's all I'm going to say about religion.
To answer Robert there, no, my song was called Reign of God. That's how I called it. Like if you know like like let's see, like if you know the lyrics to Rain and Blood, they're just trapped in purgatory, a lifeless object alive. With me was like escape from purgatory, the lifeless Christ now alive, something like that. I can't remember all of it, but I basically tried to take it as close to the Annunciations as I could. But yeah, but there you go.
Tim might be right here that Robin Williams said it first, but I could swear that my memory of hearing that platypus joke was in Kevin Smith's movie Dogma in the opening crawl. I may be wrong on that.
Yeah, I couldn't answer that one. So
there
you go.
Maybe I'll go next with the last of the birthday gifts here. This next one is for John T. Snow. Not literally. I mean, it's for me, but for John T. Snow, because we both own a copy of the Gene Simmons Vault, and I was dissatisfied with the book that came with it. Not that it's not a super deluxe book with lots of photos and tons of text to read, but I complained about it in my review that Gene doesn't always offer enough detail on the actual song, the recording of the song, and he'll just tell stories. And a lot of the stories are things like, Ace and Peter are not on this track because they didn't have the discipline to come into the studio. Paul and I were always there early, and Ace always had a card game, and Peter usually was recovering from a hangover. And it's like, Gene, that doesn't tell me who played drums or who played guitar on this demo, Yeah. So Julian Gill did it's not very large, but he did this supplemental to Gene Simmons' Vault, and it has the basic track information that you're looking for without the stories. So for example, I opened it up to a track called Suspicious here, written by Tommy Thayer, Jamie St. James, and Pat Regan. We know two of those guys were in Black and Blue. I can't remember Pat Regan. Recorded 1987. Source and studio are unknown. And then he says, this recording is Gene's vocal take on a song that appeared on Black and Blue's final Geffen album, In Heat, in 1988. So it gives you a little bit of information about the demo and none of the bullshit, pardon my French, from Gene's storybook. Right. Another thing I like is that he covered the totality of Gene's Vault experiences, where he did those appearances where he would not hand deliver, I suppose, because you had to pick it up, but he would hand you your vault and you would get a photo with him or whatever. And it was like
$50,000 or something dumb. Yeah, it was some really ridiculous.
$50,000 one, he would come to your house and hand deliver.
Okay.
According to this book, only one $50,000 package was sold. Ace Frehley was at that. He came to some of the appearances, but he did come to the one in-house that was purchased. But here's the weird thing. It was in Florida, and apparently Vanilla Ice was at the house. He was just one of the guests. He just happened to be one of the guests. So that's a fun fact that I learned from Julian Gill's Gene Simmons Vault supplemental about the $50,000 Vault package that you could buy. Oof. Secondly, that came from my sister, by the way. And secondly, she bought me, this is for Davey Gallagher. It's a Where's Waldo book of Doctor Who. And if I open it up here, it tells you a little bit about what you need to do for this book. Basically, if you're familiar with Doctor Who, this is the Matt Smith incarnation of the Doctor, who I believe was the 12th incarnation of Doctor Who. You can tell it's him because he has the bow tie and suspenders. I'm not sure where the instructions are, but basically on every page you have to find the Doctor and his companions, Amy and Rory. And then there are some other articles in here that you have to find, such as the TARDIS. And you can see here, you have to find them in this room full of Daleks. And on another page, it's Cybermen. On another page, it's Weeping Angels. And there's the Doctor right there. And you can totally tell it's Matt Smith by the big hair and the bow tie. So there you go.
I am so uneducated when it comes to Doctor Who. I have never watched it.
Well, hopefully I got all of that right.
I have no idea.
Just get some comments here. We're back to. Oh, they're rolling in faster than I can put them on the screen. And there we go. Now
It looks like everybody's having a conversation. They're having their own conversation in, in the comments.
We're back to the platypus. Take a beaver, put a duck's bill on it, but it's also a mammal and it lays eggs. There you go. That's true. Dogma might be Alan Rickman at his finest. I do think Alan Rickman is a funny man, or was, I should say, was a funny man. And yes, John, we will do the Vault show. And now it's easier for me because I have the Julian Gill book to do quick notes. Pete Jones, I can hook you two guys up. Aaron is the guy that I went to Toronto with, if you didn't catch that. But I think you guys would get along famously because Aaron is just a music nut who loves all genres, including classical and jazz. Vanilla was probably doing some tribal work. Be kind, Aaron. Be kind. Okay, I'll just let those guys talk among themselves. And Matt is the 11th Doctor. Yes, okay, yes, no, that's right, because David Tennant's the 10th. Yes, okay, that is right. I get them mixed up, but David Tennant, I always remember as the 10th.
Right.
He followed David Tennant. Okay. So that's all I have for birthday gifts. We have about 15 minutes left to go. I have one item left that I want to show, but I'll let you go first.
Well, I mean, I think one of them was, I don't know if you've gotten it yet or have had a chance to listen to it, but of course I have to show off that. So I'm very interested to hear what you think of after listening through this again. I'm thinking, yeah, there's probably a good reason why I don't remember this album very much, other than a couple songs. There's a few songs that I remember playing the snot out of, but it was good enough for me to want to keep it, obviously keep the CD. So after all these years, but gosh, I don't really have anything else that I was really going to throw out. I think everything I've shown people, I've probably done on old videos, and I almost hate to redo things, but I don't know if you've ever seen how much in person you've ever seen these little things.
I only own them on CD. Well, I have a bootleg of Quiet Riot too. But
all right, so I'm just going to pull this first one out. So this was the super. This was a super deluxe box set that when they came out with when No Remorse Records came out with the reissues. So this has, I'm just going to open this guy up. You have, of course, a vinyl.
Yeah.
With
that's the first album.
That's the first album. You get a Kelly Garney interview, which was kind of this was like a little afterthought.
Cool. He was the original bassist.
He was the original bassist. The authenticity. They only made 200 of these sets.
Wow.
Of each of these. So anyway, little patch.
Oh, they really did this up right.
Cassette. And of course, the CD.
Which I have. That's what I have.
So yeah. So this version, if you wanted to go all out, that's what came with this one. So you got, and I have the second one too, but yeah. And I have an original CBS version of the second album, not the first one. Unfortunately, I would probably have to sell my body parts in order to get it. So probably will never see an original version of the first album. But to get these guys, I never thought I'd actually own a clean version. Now, what do I think of them? I haven't taken enough time to listen to them.
I can offer a pretty solid opinion because I've lived with those albums for 30 years.
Yeah.
I like them both to a certain degree. The recording is horrible, but there's some gold within those albums.
Yeah.
The highlights of which were later remixed on the Randy Rhoads tribute CD, but those have some good songs, especially I think the second album is actually pretty decent. I
guess what I meant to say was comparing what these sound like compared to the original recordings. And I've been trying to, one of these days I was going to take the time to to, because I actually have a CDR bootleg version of the first one. So trying to figure out, okay, how much are these the cleaned up versions that they used for the Randy Rhoads years, or how
They're not.
different are? Yeah,
They're not at all.
So yeah, I'm one of these days I'm gonna listen to that. But yeah, I do admit I'm a bit of a Randy Rhoads freak, because this is like another bootleg thing called the earliest sessions. I'm not going to show. I'm not going to show the back of this for good reason.
Okay, so the artwork's a little questionable.
The model is.
Yeah. Okay, got you.
But here's the weird thing about this one. At the end of side 1, there's a song called "Mr. Cruel."
Okay. Mr. Cruel, Mr. Crowley.
Has nothing to do with Quiet Riot.
No?
Mr. Cruel would become Cries in the Night off of Wasp's The Last Command. Mr. Cruel was on the Killer Kane, was originally on the Killer Kane band album, or 3-song thing.
So
that
just
I think somehow it got mixed onto this thing. I have no idea why, but it did.
Okay, well, I'll tell you a funny story. There used to be a Kiss bootleg from the Elder era, and it had a song on there called "Young and Reckless" that was supposedly, I think they credited it as a Vinnie Vincent demo. Okay. It's not. It's "Young and Reckless," a Helix song from Walking the Razor's Edge, and it's on there. And it's like, anybody who knows Helix knows that it's got nothing to do with Kiss.
Right.
Well, that's cool, man. I really appreciate seeing that Quiet Riot. For those who don't know, for years, Randy Rhoads' mother, Dolores Rhoads, refused to allow those recordings to be released because Randy was not happy with them. And to her, that meant nobody should hear them. After her passing, things changed. What happened, though, in the 90s was Kevin Dubrow went back to the original master tapes and remixed everything from the ground up. He re-recorded his singing. In some cases, he sped songs up that needed to be faster or slowed them down to make them slower, changed the key, changed the pitch, re-recorded the drums, remixed Randy's guitar by playing it through Marshalls. And the result was a completely different batch of songs. And Dolores Rhoads said, "You're okay to release these." After she passed, now we have the original albums that came out.
Which I think the only reason that these got released was somehow Frankie Banali inherits all the rights to all the music, which I don't know how. I don't know if they own the masters. I would have thought CBS would have owned the masters to that, but somehow he gets a hold of them, and No Remorse Records in Greece is who winds up releasing those things. So I don't think the Rhoads family was still very happy with that.
Yeah.
I still think like Randy's sister, I think she asked, I think I sent her a question about that, and all she sent me was a sad emoji. So I could tell the Rhoads family was not really mentioned with this. And I think Kelly was only brought in as an afterthought. I don't think Drew had any say with it, but
no, I doubt it.
Drew Forsythe, the original drummer. But anyway, there you go. So,
all right. Well, I'm going to show off my last item here.
Yes,
and this was kind of different because this is a Lego set, but it's still music.
Okay.
Last year, I received this amazing set, and this is half of it: the Lego Jazz Quartet.
Ooh,
and this is the rhythm section. The drummer and the bassist. It comes with this full-length stand that everything is on, and you can connect them all together. Everything actually separates. You can take the bassist and you can pull him out, and he has his own little stand here. The bass only has 2 strings, but not too bad. You can pose these guys, and just enough. His legs are not posable, right? But you can move his arms up and down the neck.
Right.
You can have him. I had him looking at the drummer as if they're like deep into a jam, but you can have him, looking at the audience. You can have him looking however way you want. He's dreaming, just looking up at the ceiling. The drummer, same deal. He is slightly posable. Again, I had him kind of making eye contact with the bassist. He's got 2 little foot pedals. I don't know if those can be seen or not.
Yeah, I can kind of see.
Kind of. Yeah. 2 little foot pedals, one for the bass drum, one for the hi-hat. Get a better view of his kit here. You can see the cymbals. You can see the drums. There's little prints on the side of the drums, number 7. There's no stickers in the set, which is a nice little bonus.
Yeah.
Drummer has this cool hat that he's wearing. That's not an eye. That was spider web that had fallen from above. But there's the
very cool
rhythm section over here.
Let's see now. See if the rhythm section. See, they could, if he only has the 2 strings, he could probably play anything from the Presidents of the United States of America
or DAD.
Or
Disneyland
DAD.
After Dark. They had a 2-string bass player. And here is the trumpeter.
Nice.
Or trumpet. Is that trumpeter?
Trumpeter. Yeah.
Look at his tie, ever so slightly askew. He's got suspenders, and those are made with Lego rail pieces. He's got a trumpet. He's got a cool hairstyle. You can see his nose there. You can see his ears. Look at his mouth. You can see it's making that blowing motion.
Huh.
You can see his pant pockets, and he's doing this cool kind of leg pose there. Really cool. But the main course is the pianist and her piano.
Nice.
Look at the keys, all printed keys. She's kind of doing this thing with her one hand where she's kind of like, leading the band. She's the band leader, I'm assuming. She has little golden earrings. And those pieces, incidentally, that make her earrings also are the one ring in Lego Lord of the Rings sets. Those earrings are the one ring that Frodo must throw into the volcano. The grand piano has details inside. Check that out.
That's unbelievable, man. That's crazy.
Took me 2 days to put together. All look individual planks on the stage. Like, it was a lot of fun. These Lego sets, they're not meant for kids anymore. I'll tell you that. They're challenging to put together. We really struggle through a lot of them, to be honest with you.
I can imagine. Yeah. That's one thing I never did as a kid was Lego sets. I just, for whatever reason, I just never got into Lego sets, but that's cool.
My buddy Aaron just got that set for this week, so I spoiled some of it for him. Aaron, enjoy putting it together, though. You'll have surprises the whole way through. There's neat little things to do. Very cool Lego set. Thank you. Poor Ash. Oh,
Ash,
buddy.
go back to bed, buddy.
I really appreciate, if you got up strictly to watch Grab a Stock of Rock, then I need to buy you a coffee or something, Ash. I really appreciate it. Ash is in Australia. So Aaron, he hasn't built his yet, but I spoiled it all for him. Trumpeter is the correct phrase. Thank you, Pete Jones. Because Henry's in Germany right now.
Ooh.
Well, Henry, I really appreciate you.
Man.
That can't be easy tuning in from Europe on your phone, but thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, brother.
Isildur's Bane made into earrings. Yeah, actually, yeah.
That's right.
That's
not wrong.
And yes, it is part of the Legos idea set where fans submit ideas, and then their ideas are made into practical sets that you can sell to an audience by Lego. And that's one of the coolest ones, let me tell you.
Very cool.
Well, John, it has been a
very,
fun
very
hour.
Cool. Yeah, man.
I just want to thank you for spending your Friday afternoon with me.
Thank you.
Now let's one more time. Let's plug what's going on at my music corner this week.
Right.
You have
we had you can watch the Stay Hungry episode. It came out Wednesday. Yesterday I decided to do a quick happy birthday to Back in Black. Turning 44 years old. So I just kind of run through the tracks real quick. So just reading what Ashley was putting out there.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I hope you get to feeling better.
Appreciate you watching. I really do. And
then then we got we'll be recording Come Out and Play. We'll be doing Love Is for Suckers the following, and then we're gonna kind of do an extra little thing at the end at the week after Love Is for Suckers. We're gonna do a couple things here and there. At some point, we're gonna get the North and South Rock and Metal connection together. We want to do an episode or two of that to that. And then starting September, we will be starting I'll just grab the easiest one I can get to. The Accept catalog. So there you go. we're going to try and get a different person for every album. And so far I've got all, but there's a couple that I've got kind of question marks with, but we'll see how that turns out. But I thank everybody who answered back quickly. The fact that I could put something together a month before we start is impressive.
And you've got like 18 parts planned out. They have a lot of albums.
Yeah, like something like 17, 18, something like that. So, and like I said, different person for each album. So that's going to be a fun experience. So, as long as everybody follows through, we'll be good to go. But other than that, yeah, I just recorded something for the Contrarians yesterday, so look for that to come out soon. I won't give too much away with what that episode was, but there you go.
All right. Well, as for me, I don't think there will be a show next week because it's a long weekend in Canada where the holiday falls on a Monday. So I think we'll be on the road during this time slot next week. But tomorrow I am recording with Mr. Tim Derling of Tim's Vinyl Confessions, and I'm not 100% sure what the subject is, if we've decided on the subject yet or not, but I will be recording with Tim Derling.
Pearl Jam.
Must be. It has to be because they're one of his favorite groups. Pearl Jam. They're one of his.
Well, and they share the same. They share another song album title with what you were holding up there.
Actually, they do. Yes. Although in this case, it's Mr. Big's 10th album. As you know, we always like to go out in a song, and I have some new music videos that I've put together that I haven't played before. So this is one that I made this morning. This is a song called "Once a Madman" by a band called Russian Blue out of Toronto, Ontario. They formed in the late 80s, put out a couple of demos, broke up in the mid 90s, but I think they're freaking great. So for those of you about to rock, I salute you. Thank you, Johnny Metal, for joining. Check out my Music Corner. Please like and subscribe. Enjoy this video that I made this morning. Russian Blue, "Once a Madman." The song kicks ass. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. Ow!
Put me on the ocean, let me sail away from everything that ever caused me pain. I was once a sailor, sailed upon the sea, sailed into the open boat they call a destiny. Ooh, that's the way the story goes. She said, da 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 da.